Okay, let's just say it. We've all heard the stereotype. Maybe somebody said it directly to you, maybe you saw it online, I'm sure you did. Jews love money. Jews love gold. And honestly, I'm not even going to fight it. Because here's what's interesting. The Torah doesn't fight it either. In fact, the Torah kind of agrees. And this week's Torah portion, Teruma, is basically the Torah's entire answer to that stereotype about money and gold and material objects. Gold is beautiful, so stay with me. Because by the end, I think we're going to look at money and gold and material things completely differently. And you're going to feel good about being Jewish. Gold first shows up very early. It shows up in the second chapter of Bereshit, of Genesis, in the Garden of Eden. Hashem is describing this paradise, the perfect place, and he mentions a river flowing out of Eden. And then the Torah does something unexpected. It pauses us to tell us about the gold, and it says, V'zahav ha'aretz hahu tov. The gold of that land is good. Think about that. The Torah is describing paradise, the most perfect place imaginable, and it stops to mention, oh, the gold is good there. That's not an accident. The Torah is telling us something from the very beginning. Gold is not the enemy. Beauty is not the enemy. The material world is not something to run away from. Gold was placed in Gan Eden. It was called good. It belongs there. Now fast forward and we get to this week's Torah portion. Gold is everywhere. In this Torah portion, which is Teruma, it's about Hashem asking the Jewish people to donate materials so they can build a Mishkan, a tabernacle. And a lot of people discuss this. The Torah told us the story of creation at the very beginning. The creation of the entire universe. Heaven, earth, light, darkness, the oceans, every animal, every planet, the human being. And all that took was 31 verses in the Torah. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, the Torah gives it more space than creation. Multiple Torah portions, hundreds of verses. And it's told to us twice. One when Hashem commands it, and once when the people actually build it. More space than the creation of the entire world. So you have to ask, what is the Torah saying? And I think it's saying this point, that creation of objects was the stage. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, is what Hashem actually wants. There's a pasuk in Proverbs said by King Solomon, who, by the way, was the wealthiest human being and king in Jewish history. He writes, Kabed et Hashem mehoncha. Honor Hashem from your wealth. Not despite it, not away from it, from it. That wealth is the tool. Wealth is the vehicle. Now, the Maharal, who was an incredible thinker from Prague, he says something very interesting. And he says the Jewish relationship from the physical world is that Hashem created everything physical as a raw material. He calls it chomer, substance, potential, the stuff of the world that hasn't yet become what it's supposed to. That wheat is raw material, it needs to become bread. Wood is raw material, it needs to become a table or a home. Gold is raw material, and it's waiting to become something special. And the Maharal is saying that the same gold that the Jewish people melted down when they sinned at the golden calf, which was potentially their greatest moment of failure in the desert, that same exact gold was donated to build the Aron Kodesh, the most sacred object in Jewish history. And the same gold, the same people, but a different choice and a different purpose. The gold was never the problem. The gold was always waiting to see what we would do with it. Portion about the Mishkan, it doesn't just come randomly right now. It comes right after the Torah portion of Mishpatim, the Parsha that talks about laws between one man and another. Don't cheat your worker. Don't ignore the widow. Don't take advantage of someone vulnerable. Be fair. Be decent. Be a human. Give charity. Help somebody in need. And that's not a coincidence. After that, Hashem says, okay, now let's build. You don't get to build sacred space until you first build sacred relationships. You can't construct a Mishkan, a foundation, based on a community that treats people poorly. The Sforno, one of the great commentators, points out this about the Mishkan. He says, you have to be internally special and holy the same way you are on the outside. And that how you treat somebody and how you act inside is not separate from your spiritual life. Your spiritual life is part of who you are. And being a decent person and being a good person, it's the core of Judaism. It's the core of the inside of who we are. So we have gold, we have raw material, waiting for direction. We have the obligation to treat people right first. And now the third part is what actually happens when you give. The Tanya, the Tanya, which was written by the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, says that the sages call tzedakah, charity, the greatest of all the commandments. And the reason is because money isn't just money. Money is your life. Think about it. Every dollar you have represents hours of your time, your energy, something that you worked for, your focus. That money is human vitality. It's in you. It's the physical form. So when you give charity, when you give tzedakah, you're not just moving numbers around. You're taking the most physical thing, the most physical part of you, the product of your body, of your effort, and everything that you work to produce, and you're redirecting it towards another human being for a godly purpose. And you're taking the most material thing in your life, and you're making it spiritual. You're taking chomer, material, raw material, and you're giving it form and meaning and holiness. And the Tanya says that that's why tzedakah, charity, elevates a person more than anything else, because it involves everything, your work, your choices, your sacrifice. When you let go of money that you could have kept and you give it to somebody else, you're transforming a piece of yourself. And the data backs this up. Research on the American Jewish philanthropy shows that Jewish households give more to charity on average than any other religious group in America. 76% of Jewish households give to charity, compared to 63% of the general population. And most of that giving, it doesn't only go to Jewish causes, it goes to hospitals, universities, arts institutions, community organizations, because our tradition teaches us that every single human being is created in the image of God and deserves our care. The Jewish giving framework is also remarkably precise. There's a minimum and a directed amount, a recommended or directed amount, there's different opinions, that you have to give 10% of your income. In elevated levels, to give 20%. And there are specific laws about how to give with dignity so the recipient isn't embarrassed. Thousands of years before modern philanthropy, the Jewish people have built the most sophisticated giving system in human history. Because tzedakah, charity, was never just charity. It was a spiritual obligation and a pathway to becoming a better human being. So let's bring this home. What is the actual lesson here? And how should we think about money and gold and all this stuff? Here's the Jewish answer. And it's not what most people expect. Don't be embarrassed by having things. Don't pretend that spirituality means poverty. The gold in the Garden of Eden was called good. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, was made of the most precious materials that the people owned. King Solomon was the richest man alive, and he wrote a book on wisdom, but also understand that what your stuff that you own actually is. It's raw material, it's potential, it's chomer, it's waiting for you to decide what to build. Every dollar in your pocket, every beautiful thing you own, it arrived in your hands as a question. What are you going to do with this? And the Torah's answer, Parshat Teruma's answer, is point it towards something holy. Build something, create infrastructure, give to the community, take care of the people around you. Honor Hashem, elevated spiritually through your wealth, not just despite your wealth. When you give, or when you use it for a holy purpose, do it from the heart, the way the Torah describes, from every person. You do not just help someone else, you transform yourself. You become someone a little bit more noble than you were before. So yes, we love gold, we're human, and there's nothing wrong with that. The question is what we build with it. And for thousands of years, in every country, in every language, under every kind of pressure, the Jewish people have answered that question the same way. We build, we give, we take care of each other and the world around us. That's what Parshat Teruma is. That is our Torah. And that is something to be genuinely, unapologetically proud of.